Welcome to the new sound of online radio. Welcome to the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network. 'Cause you make me feel like I've been locked out of heaven. A mix of today's hits and hard-to-find favorites, combined with the most entertaining and intriguing talk anywhere. This is your sound. This is the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network at ubnradio.com.
Broadcasting live from the UBN studios in Hollywood, California. Well, actually calling into Hollywood from his own little corner of Northeast Ohio. It's the Left of Str8 Show with your host, Scott Fullerton. Join us for fun talk and celebrity interviews, exploring the worlds of entertainment, foodies, and books. He's not off his rocker, just a little left of straight. Now, here's your host, Scott Fullerton.
Hello. The crowd is going crazy. I always forget to wait for my applause. Thank you so much for that, Jarvis. Welcome, everybody. It is Monday, February 29th, 2016. You are here at the Left of Str8 Show right on UBN Radio, and I am your host, Scott Fullerton. I'm here, as always, with the handsome and talented Jarvis in the control room. Jarvis, how's your day going, man?
Hey, the day is going great.
Super duper. Welcome aboard. We got a great show today. Great friend of our show, Garrett Miller, is coming on. Our very first time we're having a live in studio guest. So you have company today, Jarvis.
Yeah, I know. It's so cool.
It's going to be kind of fun. I'm so glad that Tony's letting us do that. That's very cool. Oh my goodness. I'm watching the show online and my ugly mug made it on the show. I was hoping to use that as sparingly as possible, Jarvis. There were notes on this. We have to have a meeting, I'm telling you. Hey, well, it's a great week here. I'm so excited to start another. Did you have a chance to catch the Academy Awards last night?
No, I didn't. I saw clips on YouTube.
It was pretty good. I mean, it was a little long, as always it is. Chris Rock did, I think, a fantastic job of working that entire diversity aspect. The Oscars so white hashtag we know was so prominent. They were having everything they were saying about the black diversity. Chris Rock hit it head on. And I think he did a very good job without really offending anybody, but bringing the point home.
Yeah. I was thinking the same thing. That's a good way to put it. I thought the same exact thing.
Not too many surprises, except for the best picture went to Spotlight. Have you been able to have? You said you need to watch too many of the shows yet.
No,
right?
No, I haven't.
Spotlight is the one about the Boston Globe story that kind of broke the lid open on the priest pedophile case and everything up in Boston.
Oh, okay.
And it was a great movie, but and it won a lot of writing awards, but no one thought that it would take the best picture. They thought it was going to sweep with Revenant because both Leonardo won, that was pretty much expected, and also the director won, Alejandro. Those were a little expected, but they thought that might go to Best Picture, but had one little surprise for the night, so that was kind of fun. And the other surprise for the night that messed up everyone's little Oscar pool picks was for the Best Supporting Actor. Everyone thought that Sylvester Stallone was going to get it for Rocky, right?
Yeah.
It just
that was a great movie. It was a good movie.
It was a great movie, and it's been, I think I saw... it was like the longest span of any time between nominations for the same role. I think it's like the original Rocky was 29 or 39 years ago or something like that. So everyone was really expecting Stallone to take it, but Mark Rylance for The Bridge of Spies ended up winning that. So he kind of messed up everyone's little Oscars pick, but it was actually really good. All right, well, we got a lot of fun stuff to do today. I want to talk to Garrett about so many things, but I saw a really cool video. I get all touchy-feely when I see these flash mob proposals. You ever see those on YouTube?
Yeah, I do. They're cool.
they're kind of fun. And whenever I find a same-sex one, it kind of makes my heart sing a little bit. I saw this one last week, and I just thought we'd have to go ahead and play, since we have Garrett already in the studio. Let's go ahead and play this little clip. It's a flash mob proposal done in of course it's LA, so it's a cycling studio, of course, right? And we'll go ahead and play that, and then we'll bring on the fantastic Garrett Miller.
All right, here we go.
All right, Joyride, how you guys doing? You ready to rock and roll, my friends? Let's get this out of our system. We are going to be settling onto this rhythm. Every day we face climbs, every day we face hills. It's about how you get to the top, Joyride. It's about what you do with it. Think of where you were, where you are, and where you want to be. Right now we settle onto this rhythm. 7 out of 10, base of your hill. What is going on right now?
Put your arms around me, tell me everything's okay. Sit out, Jared. In my mind, I'm running around the
Oh my God. Are you kidding me?
Just put your arms around me.
Come on, Joyride, rock it.
Everything's okay.
We love you.
Oh my God.
Here we go.
Break my
Down.
down.
Come on, Joyride. Let's go.
Oh my God.
Let's go, Joyride. Pick it up. Out. Come on.
What is going on?
Read that shirt.
Oh my God.
Out. Come on, Joyride. Give it up. Push. Out. Pick it up. Chop. Up. You guys got that resistance? Up the third. Rock.
Me and you're never gonna leave.
Oh my God.
Please tell me that you got me and you're never gonna
What?
I've always wanted another son. Keep it together, Joyride.
You're kidding me. Oh my God.
Come on, keep it together. Come on. Out to the third, right foot. Let's go.
Are you kidding me? Oh my God.
You ready, Joyride? Let's show them how we ride. Third.
You're killing me.
Right foot. Happy Valentine's Day.
Okay. I get it. I get it. Yeah.
So,
Oh my God.
so I've been told that when you are not looking for the right person will come, and everything in your life will be better. And every day since I've known you, you have brought such happiness to me.
Oh
and I
my
don't want
God.
to spend another day without you by my side. So, I have a question for you.
Oh no. Are you kidding me? How and when? Yes. Yes. Of course.
I think this one
Oh my God. How did? Yes, I did. The answer was yes. All right, Joyride, how you guys doing? You ready to rock and roll, man?
All right, there we go. Thanks for playing that, Jarvis. I just thought that was lots of fun. Just for future any suitors out there of myself, as long as it involves coffee, a couch, and cheesecake, we're there. We don't need to do the whole cycling thing. Well, let's go ahead and bring our first guest on. I'm so excited to have our very first in-studio guest. He's a fantastic friend of the show. He's really mentored me as through this whole crazy radio thing I started back in July. And I just am so honored to have him in my close circle of online friends and mentors. From hosting his own internet radio show over on Blog Talk Radio, to his outstanding music career, to his blossoming photography and acting career. He's now soon to be an author, among other things, and just an overall Renaissance man. Please welcome to the show my friend, Blond Jesus himself, Garrett Miller.
Scott, oh my God, what an intro. I love it. Now, I could actually see you
doing,
on that.
My friend?
I'm doing great, but I watched that video that Jarvis, he turned the computer so I could take a look. I totally see you on a spin cycle getting ready to propose to somebody. I could see you doing that.
I'm telling you, I told Jarvis it has to do with cheesecake and coffee. That's all there is to it. The spin cycle is not going to work. That's your whole LA thing. Our Northeast Ohio thing, get me a nice coffee cafe with couches involved and a cheesecake, and we're there.
Now, what kind of cheesecake do you like?
You know, there's this thing, believe it or not, the funniest thing is my favorite cheesecake is done at the place called the Mocha House out here called California Cheesecake. And it's a really light cheesecake with all sorts of fresh fruit over the top. It's fantastic.
Oh, that sounds great. Can you FedEx some out here?
Exactly. For your one cheat day you have every 30 days at the most, because
yeah, exactly.
all I see is your healthy, lovely stuff over there on your Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah, here's another leaf of lettuce for you.
Exactly. You're looking mighty fine on screen, my friend. Looking good.
You know, I'm coming in to see you here and at the fine studios at UBN Radio, and I wanted to look nice for you, but plus, after the show today, I'm headed over to Pump to go see our friend Michael Vaccaro at the Child of the 70s Season 4 premiere, and it's disco-themed, so, you know, I had to dress up.
You are looking good, and that's going to be so much fun. We got to tell everyone about that a bit because, of course, the beautiful, lovely, audacious Ann Walker, who, of course, is
going to be
the
there.
Stars of the station here. Yeah. She'll be there, and, of course, Terry Ray's going to be my guest tomorrow. Talk a little bit about what's happening tonight with that.
Well, the event starts at 7 o'clock, and it's going to be filled with red carpet, photographers. I've even brought the big boy camera, so I'm going to try to snap some pictures with some of the big celebs there. And then about 7:30, 8 o'clock, as I understand it, they're going to do a little presentation and a preview for what Season 4 is going to hold. And then it apparently will be a night of frivolity and drinking. So head on down to Pump Restaurant over on Santa Monica. We're going to be there at 7.
Nice. And you're not driving all the way back to Huntington Beach, are you? I hope you have a nice little couch you're surfing on or staying somewhere in town.
No, I got to drive back to Huntington Beach. I got the puppies.
Oh, that's right. But,
yeah.
But you don't drink that much anyway, do you?
I don't drink at all. So, you know, my big adult drink will be a cold bottle of water. So there you go. I'm living large.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, look we got the chat room. Speaking of, our good friend is in the show. Blond Jesus is the only God I worship. I love it.
That has to be Paul.
Of course. That's
our
Paul.
Good Paul, thank you very much.
Well, let's talk about this. You have so much going on right now. Let's start with the music aspect because that is just blowing up all over the place.
It's crazy.
You are on the hottest new artist list, #1 music, best album, rock electronica for the Academia Music Awards in April. Mr. Fancy Man in his limo going on a red carpet treatment. Talk about the whole music thing.
Oh my gosh. I don't even know where to start. All I know is that it has just been kind of crazy the last 6-8 months, and it's really starting to pick up now. Gay Wedding, which is my lead single, is seeing just a renewed interest. It's currently #1 on the hottest new artist chart. It is being picked up by radio stations as we speak every single week, and I'm getting tons of response off of it, and it's so much fun to see this. You know, and this comes after Sweat and Testify did so well over Christmas, and we had the Christmas single and the Halloween single, and, you know, it's just kind of a machine that's starting to take a life of its own. I'm super grateful.
That is so cool. And we're going to play a little bit of one of your newest clips, Gay Wedding, in just a little bit here. I thought that was just fantastic. Came out just at the right time last year when we had the Supreme Court ruling. But I just want to really say your music is just fantastic, my friend. It's so much fun.
I hope so. I want it to be fun. I don't want to listen to music that's, you know, down and dreary. I want something that, you know, when you turn it on, you want to get out of your chair, you want to start moving around, and hopefully you'll sweat off a couple of pounds along the way, too. So, you know, just have a little fun.
There you go. Fantastic. And then getting back into Oscars, we had Jarvis and I talking about the Oscars. Did you watch it at all last night?
I made my 50-pound salad last night because I knew I wasn't going to have
I
pizza
saw
or
that.
wings. And so I sat down to watch it, and I turned it on. And I don't have cable at home, so for everybody out there who feels sorry for me, don't. It's by choice. And so I've got an HD antenna hooked up, and I'm out in the living room, turn on ABC, and Chris Rock comes on, and I'm all excited to hear about everything he's going to talk about. And my reception on ABC here in Huntington Beach does not go over quite so well, and I hear about every seventh word. So I'm having to make up what Chris Rock is saying along the way. So I made up my own version of that at the end of it. But along the way, it just kind of got frustrating. So after the first award, I said, enough of that, and I just went downstairs to write. So I was telling everybody to, keep me up to date on Facebook and send me notes on who's winning and who's losing along the way. And the one movie I thought that really shocked me was Mad Max won all of those technical awards and all the other behind-the-scenes stuff that I never thought in a million years you'd see Mad Max, a title like Mad Max, going away with all the gold.
Exactly. It took a sweep there for a second.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
a Mad Max Palooza there.
We could do a song or a festival, a Mad Max Palooza.
Exactly. That'd be so much fun. Oh my gosh, the chat room is filling up, my friend. We have the great and awesome Tony Guadagnino all the way
Tony
from New
G
Jersey
from
joining in now.
Hackensack. I love Tony G.
Love to have him. And I'm supposed to send him a link to the show, and he found it all by himself. I'm so
Good
proud
boy,
of him.
good boy.
Hey, yeah. Then speaking of the Academy Awards, though, some Mr. Fancy Pants people got to go to the little pre-show yesterday where all the celebrities were coming by and picking up their little swag bag stuff. Talk about that.
Well, I was invited to be a photographer for one of the celebrity Oscar gifting suites. And so I headed up to LA and got a chance to photograph a lot of the folks that were coming in to, take a look at the vendors and say hello to everybody. And so we got tons of pictures of all of the, big celebrities, and I've posted those to the people that, had me there as their photographer. But even as a photographer in these types of things, sometimes I can't resist the urge to say, "Can I get a picture with you too, please?" And I'm not shy. So my big gets over the weekend, I got a chance to meet Jerry Mathers, of course, the Beaver. I've met Christopher Atkins before from Blue Lagoon, so that was always fun. And, of course, these people meet trillions of people and have pictures taken with trillions of other folks. So it's not like, Chris, you remember me from 2 years ago? We met. So, hi, how are you? But the big get for me yesterday over the weekend was Mr. Leif Garrett. Leif Garrett from, the 70s, Leif Garrett. So we got our picture taken, and he goes, "So, what's your name?" And I said, "Garrett." And he goes, "Well, I'm Leif Garrett." And I said, "I know." So it's, my little hashtag on my picture on Facebook is hashtag Leif Garrett Miller. So, I think that's going to be the new movement. I'd love to do like a double billing with him at the Roxy.
There you go. You guys would have a great twofer there, man, and do a little combined set at the end.
Yeah.
I would love that. Yeah, I love seeing the picture. And let's go ahead and plug. That was for Boutique by CBT Candle Company, right?
Well, it's cbtcandles.com, and the young man that runs it, his name is Scott Travis, and he does these essential oil candles. And you say, what the heck is an essential oil candle? It's all natural, and he infuses the candle with different scents of essential oils. So the big get here for a lot of the celebrities, and that's why he was there, is he does celebrity lines. And so he'll make custom scents for particular celebrities that want to have gifts for maybe a wrap party, a big party they're doing at their house or mansion, whatever the occasion. And he can custom make something specific exactly for that particular client at that night. So Scott was there promoting his candle line, and it was great to see him. It's Scott Travis with cbtcandle.com. Not that we're promoting cbtcandle.com.
That is awesome, though. And there's those swag bags. I think they're rumored to be worth like $220,000 last night to those presenters out there. So they make a couple of good deals for going out for a couple seconds and introducing a winner or two, right?
Those swag bags are quite spectacular. So if you get a chance to get one of those, I highly think that you could put a few kids through college on it.
Exactly. Well, let's talk about a couple. I mean, you saw, of course, Leif Garrett, fantastic. He was looking a little bit his age, but still looking pretty darn good. I mean, he was a rocker back when I was a young guy, and I'm not a young guy anymore.
Right. No, you just hush, Scott. You're going to be about 21 this year, so
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's it. But I got to tell you, I kind of freaked out. Two people I freaked out over. First was Dawn Wells, because I was a
Dawn
huge
Wells
fan.
Oh my
And
gosh.
she still looks sweet as pie. I
Oh
mean,
my
you
gosh.
could just picture her in her little before Daisy Dukes, a little longer Daisy
Well,
Dukes.
and she still wears her Daisy Dukes. You know, she's done a web series now with Terry Ray, who's going to be your guest tomorrow. And I believe it, I should know this off the top of my head, but I think it's called Return to the Island. But they did one episode, and it's about this guy who, you know, and you can see it on YouTube, folks. Just Google Dawn Wells on YouTube, and you'll find her. But, you know, this guy is rescued at sea and comes ashore, and here's, you know, Dawn Wells in a non-Marianne role, because of course they're not going to break any trademarks or say anything they shouldn't. You know,
Right.
she's sitting there, and then they make, you know, fun of the fact that, you know, she's still on the island after all these years. And so there's a cute little story that goes with it. I won't ruin the ending of it, but if you go onto YouTube and check it out, it's one of those things that it's severely cute. You watch it one time and can't believe it was that good, and you go back and watch it a second, a third time, and then you got to share it on social media. So I hope everybody does that. And that stars Terry Ray and Dawn Wells.
That is so cool. And then I just can't believe, I know you said you've worked with him, but Christopher Atkins doesn't look like he aged a day. Speaking of people aging, he still looks fantastic.
I'm telling, I don't know what the man does, but I mean, the picture probably didn't really show it, Scott, but I'll tell you, the man looks like he's built like a brick house. And so, you know, he's either doing his Pilates or yogas or CrossFit or Power 90, whatever the case is, but the man's still in great shape. You know, really friendly, took time to talk to everybody. And, you know, but that's, you know, what these events really are, though. You know, you run into these celebrities and they just are the nicest folks in the world. I've yet to run into somebody who's like, well, that one was a real snot, you know. So everybody had a chance to meet, couldn't have been nicer. You know, it'd be like saying, Scott, I want to, you know, have you come over for some cheesecake and coffee, whatever you said you wanted to drink early. I'd make sure that was there, and, you know, you'd show up.
Yeah, I just love that you get to see all these different groups put together, and it's just so nice when it really turns out to be who you hope they are. Even just little pictures, I get excited to see my friends with people that I kind of admire. So I was just all excited, oh my goodness, that's just so exciting for me. I love that stuff.
Well, it's, you know, anytime you get a chance to go to an event like that, I think that if you can do it, please do. But then, you know, keep in mind, everybody that's there, they put their pants on one leg at a time. You know, sure, they make a lot of money and they're in front of a camera, but, you know, they've got to take kids to soccer practice. They've got to go buy groceries. They've got to pay their bills just like everybody else. Their job just happens to be a little bit different than everybody else.
Right. And like you said, we're teasing about our ages and everything, but I mean, those guys are still just as young as hearted as ever. Jerry Mather looks, you can see that little sly grin in his face today. And
what a gentleman, though.
Oh, it's so cool. So cool.
Yeah. Jerry was awesome. And you know, I think that when I had the chance to get the picture with Jerry, the first thought in my head was, I can't wait to go home and tell my cousin David that I got the picture with the Beeve, because we used to watch that when we'd go over to my grandparents, you know, a million years ago. So, yeah, it's just, you know, great things like that. You know, that really makes the day special.
Now, how did this whole photography come about? You've been doing it for a while now. You have some fantastic shots come up on Facebook with these amazing people. Have you always dabbled in photography as well as your other amazing things that you do?
Oh, out of all the amazing things I do, Scott, you know, I actually started as a photographer years and years and years ago. I was on the yearbook committee and all that kind of stuff in high school. But what started happening is I was going to professional wrestling on Thursday nights in Salem, Oregon at the Grand Theater. It was neither grand nor a theater, but that's a story for a different day. But they'd have the local professional wrestling, you know, troupe come in on Thursday nights. And I started taking pictures with my, you know, Kodak Instamatic 110 camera, and I'd go get the pictures developed. And it started when there was this bad guy. His name is Abdullah whatever. You know, it was around the time of the Iran whole thing was going on with the hostages. So, of course, they always play in racial stereotypes. So they had this guy by the name of Abdullah come in, and his big thing was he would throw powder, you know, or fire into his opponent's face. So I was able to take a picture of Abdullah throwing the powder into Chris Adams' face, and I raced back to the matches the next week, and I went up to the promoter and I said, I've got proof. You know, of course, you don't realize, you know, you're, I don't know, 13, 12, that, you know, it's now called creative sports entertainment. Back in the day, they called it fake, and you didn't know if it was fake or if it was real. So, you know, at 13, you think it's real. So I showed the picture to the promoter, and he goes, well, you know, I can't really do anything about it now, but thanks, kid. And I thought, somebody's got to do something about it. We can't let this guy keep throwing the powder in his face, and he's winning his matches. You know, that's a dastardly deed. So I went out with my paper out money, and I bought a Minolta XGM camera, And that's really where everything started. So my career with photography started with that Minolta XGM when, you'd go and buy a roll of film, and if you only had 36 exposures, you better make sure the camera was in focus and you had the right f-stop and you were going to be good to go. And so eventually I started sending my pictures into the professional wrestling magazines. There was a publication that was out of Minneapolis, St. Paul. That was kind of like the B League, and I didn't know this at the time. But that's kind of how it worked out. And then there was the A League out of New York. So the B League had an amateur photo contest they would have every month, and so I sent some pictures in, and they sent me a letter back, and I still have it to this day. It's in one of the boxes of stuff that I'm allowed to keep, out of my moves and growing up and this type of stuff. And it says, "Dear Garrett, we appreciate you sending in all the pictures, but your pictures are of a professional nature. Therefore, we can't accept them. We wish you lots of luck in your photography career. Thank you very much. Goodbye." And I thought,
Oh no.
I don't think the guy knows what he's talking about because I'm not a professional photographer. I just wanted to get some pictures published. So I took the same set of pictures, mailed them off to New York to Pro Wrestling Illustrated, The Wrestler, Sports Revealed Wrestling. Inside Wrestling is the big four of the day. And this is when people bought magazines by the hundreds of thousands a month. And my editor at the time, who would become my editor for many, many years, his name was Bill Apter. And he was the senior editor of all of the magazines. And I knew his voice because I would sit and watch him on WTBS in Atlanta on the Superstation on Saturday when the yearly Pro Wrestling Awards would come out. And he would go and present Dusty Rhodes, The American Dream, or Roddy Piper, or Tommy Rich, or any of these other wrestlers their awards. And so I'm 15 years old. I remember it specifically because my parents says, "You can have this car." My mom had a 1972 Toyota Corolla, and they said, "If you do all of these chores this summer, you'll get to have the car on your 16th birthday." So I'm up at the house, and so they said, "Paint the house." Sure, I'll paint the house. What do I know until I start painting the house? And I'm like, what the heck? I'm painting the house. But I'm up painting the house, and the phone rings, and this is right when cordless phones were invented, and they weighed about 500 pounds and had the 18-foot antenna. My sister brings the phone out, and she goes, "Garrett, the phone's for you." So I get down, and this is Bill Apter with Pro Wrestling Illustrated. "Mr. Apter, I know who you are." And so he says, "We'd like to hire you." And I said, "But I can't even drive to the matches. I got to wait for my mom to take me." He says, "Will your mom take you this Thursday?" Because so they wanted me to go do a photo shoot with Billy Jack Haynes, who became one of the big stars in the kind of like mid 80s, late 80s until he had issues of his own. But I said, "Yeah, I can go take the pictures." And so I sent in the film, and the next thing I know, Scott, this check arrives. And I just thought I was going to be sending in the film, and I didn't know they were going to give me money for it. And then the next roll of film went in, and the next roll of film, and then it went from like $250 to $500 to $800, and I think my highest was probably like $1,200. And it's for stuff I would have done anyway. And I'm glad they didn't know I'd have done it for free. But they said, "Here's your checks for your work." And then pretty soon my pictures started showing up in all the professional wrestling magazines, and I'm a sophomore, junior in high school, and I thought, no, this is really cool. So I'd take the magazine to school, and I'd have the photo credit in, and I started doing a little article writing, and I'd do the Pacific Northwest top 10 list, and quite frankly, I get to pick who was in the top 10, which was great. And so life happened. So I did that for a few years, and when I moved to Arizona to go to college, first and finally moved back down here in 1989. The industry was really kind of changing. My last, people were not buying magazines. The internet was just starting, believe it or not. Computers were still running on code. It was not what you see is what you get like we have today. And the last show that I did was a pay-per-view in Phoenix called Wrestle War 91. And in the article, I got 62 pictures and a feature article and the whole thing. And the big check that I got for that, biggest thing I've ever done, mind you, 62 pictures, biggest thing I've ever done. I got a check for $150, and I said, "My time with you is now over. Thank you very much." So my career came to a stop. But I did some portrait photography and stuff, back in the day, and things happen. You get a career, you get a life, and you put a lot of things off to the wayside. And probably about 2-3 years ago, a friend of mine, she says, I've got this Canon and I love it, and I take all these great pictures. And she traveled around the world and would go for month-long vacations. And she'd bring back these great pictures about going to Nepal or wherever. I mean, you name it, she's been to all of these great places. And she goes and builds schools once a month during the year. And I said, I need a camera like that. So I got the camera probably 6-8 months later, and then let it just sit there. And then I started going, why is this camera sitting here? You paid all this money for it. So I started taking pictures of my dogs. And then I started taking pictures of my food, and then I started taking pictures of people, and then I started and so I just started picking it back up again. And then 5-6 months ago, it was like, I love doing this. Why am I not doing this all the time? So now I do a little bit of photography on the side as well. So I do headshots for a lot of actors. I do product placement shots for people's website. I develop websites for folks, and customize stuff, and just something. It's something that I can do that's creative. It's totally fun, and I can really try to create a moment that's easily captured on film. And the nice thing about it is now I just don't have 36 pictures I can experiment with and have to roll the dice and say, well, that's all I can afford this week. I got a memory card and I can take 5 million pictures. So if you want to stand upside down on your head, Scott, I'll take pictures of you all day long, but I'm going to get 85 looks of you doing it one way. So there's a lot of different things you can do with a camera today that you couldn't 20 years ago, and I love it. So yeah, I take a couple of pictures every once in a while.
Well, they're just so good, and you can see. I didn't know the entire backstory there, but I love it because you can really see the professionalism. The framing is always good. The
you gotta
lighting
have
is
it
good.
framed.
You hit them perfect, my friend. You do it great.
So I'm going to tell you a quick story here. So I have a new client that's up in Seattle, and she's having me design her website. And I said, okay, we need to get some pictures because all the pictures you have are taken off of your iPhone. And I said, I'm not flying up to Seattle to take your pictures because you can't afford to do that. So go out and have some pictures taken. Here's your list of 10 things you got to do. You got to have the picture look this way. You have to do this, do that, and do the other thing. So what does she do? She goes out and has a landscape photographer who is very uncomfortable taking pictures of people take her pictures. The worst pictures in the history of pictures. So she's cut out of the frame. We get half of a body. You might get, anyway. So we got that resolved. But it's funny to see how to me, I just see the picture. I see exactly how it's supposed to look. I see how we're going to sell it. I see exactly how it's going to be on either a website or Facebook or whatever. And I don't know. I guess I'm just lucky because that just comes easily for me. But I'll tell you, it's apparently an art.
Well, exactly, and that's what I love. The thing I love about you is I really talked about it in the beginning. You're such a Renaissance man where you do so many different things. You do them quite well, but you're always doing something and learning something new. If you don't know it, you'll learn it.
Yeah.
And that just has always been a big inspiration to me, especially, like I said, I've continued to mentor this entire time, and I just love that about you, Garrett.
Oh, Scott. The Mutual Admiration Society is now in session. I'll bang the gavel.
There you go. Oh, I got to say something, though, about pictures and food. You know me and my food. I have to have my foodies on my show on occasion. I don't know if you read this, but yesterday, and I'm going to take this picture tomorrow, so I'm all excited about it now. But yesterday, or the day before yesterday, the Library of Congress for Black History Month announced that they had digitized all of Rosa Parks' personal collection of papers, letters, and photographs, right?
Awesome.
So they did this awesome stuff. But they're going through all this, and it was like a long legal battle to do it. I guess it was a big thing on whether Congress could even do this or not, because she's such a important figure in history, and with the state, they didn't really want to go to Congress. But anyway, finally got through. But included with it, which I think is so cool as a foodie here, scribbled in these sloping letters on a deposit slip from a Detroit National Bank, the file has a recipe for featherlight pancakes.
Oh.
And it holds a whole list of ingredients that includes peanut butter that you put inside the pancakes.
No.
And it gives a short description of it and how to combine everything together and how to cook the things. And I'm going to try them tomorrow. I went to the store today. I bought all my ingredients for them. I have everything. It's not that many ingredients involved. But you add a little baking soda that makes them light, even though you have the peanut butter with some oil and things to make. I'm just so excited about this peanut butter pancake recipe from Rosa Parks. You don't even know.
You have to post pictures of Rosa's peanut butter pancakes.
I am going to, because I think it's just going to be so much fun.
And Jarvis is here shaking his head. He's going like, you've just lost your mind.
I'm a crazy foodie. What can I say? It's so
much
fun. All right, well, let's go on to the next adventure. Now, not only is this photographs have you taking pictures of all these fantastic people, but now they're saying, hey, while you're doing that, would you mind being in my movie or being in this? We went from Mr. Bart to a bunch of roles. Let's talk about this budding movie career again, going stronger than ever.
Stronger than ever. I've just been in my first film, thanks to Mr. Bruce Hart. It's called Open. I played the role of Bart Ender, say that together real fast, and that was my role. And I'm just so grateful to Bruce. He called me up and says, we've got a role in my upcoming movie. Are you interested? And I said, yeah, twist my arm. Let me do it. So went and hung out with all of the cast and crew, and they made me feel super comfortable, and it was just a great experience. And of course, Mr. Michael Vaccaro, he invited me to be on the set for The Child of the 70s season 4. So I'm in the season finale this year. And so you'll see me along with Carrie Droll and Charlotte Robinette and a bunch of Felipe. They're all going to be there at the premiere tonight. So that was fun. And I've got, I've got a bunch of stuff that I can't really talk about now, but I've got one program that we've changed the film date from November, December to January, February. Now we're talking April. But they said, don't cut your hair because we need the Blond Jesus hair. So you got to keep the hair until we do the show. So I'm not cutting my hair until we get past that point. I don't know if it's another year and a half. We may have to renegotiate that. But right now I'm letting the hair grow. But I got some other stuff in the works, and I'm always open to new roles. And it's new for me, so it's something that I wanted to do, and I'm very grateful for any opportunity. So if you're out there listening, folks, I would love to be in your TV show or movie. Just call me up, and we'll work out a deal. If you want to use my music,
we had to have you on camera. I mean, we can't hide this beautiful Jesus-esque features here behind the mic.
Scott, your check is in the mail, and it will clear, I promise.
All right, and now going on to your multimedia empire, ever expanding even more. We're writing a book. We're on volume 1 of a series. Talk about this whole adventure.
Well, I think that this is one of those things that I have wanted to do for a long time. And I started writing a different book about 3 years ago. And I started the book sitting in downtown Manhattan in New York City, waiting for a sales call that I was going on in a different career. And I had a notebook with me that was really prompted to be in my hands by a acupuncturist here in California that I'd seen. She says, you have a story and you need to write it down, and if you don't write it down, you're going to forget it. So, get out that notebook and start writing. And I thought she was nuts. And the next thing I know, I happened to be in front of a Staples, and I'm never in front of a Staples. And I said, oh, this is my sign. I need to go buy some notebooks. So I was in Staples, and I went and bought the notebooks, and they had red pens on sale. I don't write with red pens, and so I bought red pens, because if you write with red, it has to do with your intention out of your throat chakra and all of this New Age stuff that I believe here in California. And so I'm in New York, and I've got a notebook, and I've got an hour before my call. And I thought, well, I'm just going to go sit outside, because it's a nice spring day, and just hang out. I took the notebook with me, and I opened it up, and without any idea what I'm going to say, the first line is, well, I think I'm starting my book today. And so I've written for the last couple of years on and off. I'll go through spurts where I'm writing 2-3 pages a day. I'll go through months where I don't write anything. Then I'll have days where I write pages and pages and pages. And, I thought at some point I'm going to write this book, and it's going to be a self-help book for people. It's going to be something like How to Be a Rock Star at 45 for Dummies. And I'm going to give them all the answers because, throughout, starting my own talk show and starting the music and starting everything else, there's no resource out there that says, here's your checklist, you need to do this, and then you do this, and then if this happens, you do that. There's none of that. So it's a lot of figuring things out on your own. It's asking people for advice. It's saying, you've done this. How have you been successful? Do you mind sharing your information? And so, I'm telling what I thought were humorous stories along the way. So this is all going just great, okay? And I'm having in my head, I need a finishing moment. I need something like if I'm reading a WWE biography by Chris Jericho, Y2J, the Millennium Man. He always ends his book with and then the stage door opened, and I went out, and that's where the book ends. And then he starts his next book up right after that moment. And so it leads to something. It's a satisfying ending. It's great. And I just haven't had that moment that I thought I should end the book. So New Year's Eve, my neighbors across the way, they said, come on over. We'll have a courtyard chat. So I'm over in their courtyard, and we're chatting. And they said, have you read Jeff's new book? And I said, well, Jeff was just on the show. So, yes, I've read his book. And they said, no, his other book. And I said, how many books are you writing a month? So he comes out with this book about death and dying. And I said, boy, that's a cheery subject for New Year's Eve. But I liked his other work. And so his books usually deal with metaphysical, and, they're really good stories, and they have you get something out of them at the end. And it's not hard reading. It's something you'll enjoy to do. And I said, okay, well, Lifestyles and the Rich and Famous here on New Year's Eve. I'm sitting at home. So, I could go out and I could get into all kinds of trouble, but, I just don't like being around that on New Year's Eve, just like a lot of folks don't. So maybe it's not crazy anymore, but in my head, it's still crazy out there. So at 8 o'clock on New Year's Eve, I open up Jeff's book and I start reading this book on death and dying. And the next thing I know, it's like 2 hours later and I'm done with the book. And I went, I love this book on death and dying. And I'm not creeped out and I'm not upset and I'm not mortified. And it really made me feel good about reading, the lessons that I learned in that. And the light bulb went off. And sometimes I'm a little bit slow. You think the bleach is actually, deep down in the root. But the light bulb went off, and I said, this is the size of book that I need to write. I don't need to write an 8,000-page book. I can write something much smaller. And so the light bulb went off, and I said, I'm going to write life lessons. And I'm going to keep it easy, short, sweet, and fun. And at the end of each lesson, you're going to learn something about, what I'm talking about. So it's a 3-book series. The first book will be out in April. The second book will be out in July, and the third book will be out in October/November, so I can do a box set ready for Christmas, because I'm always thinking about how do I move the units. And so, the whole theme of the entire series is how to be a winner in life. And so I tell stories about what it's like to be a winner, what it's like not to be a winner, things non-winners do that, and again, it's all told with a humorous slant to it. So it's not like, well, I got it in the first chapter. So we cover lots of different things. So each book has 10 chapters, and I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be something that is one of those bucket list things that I said, never in a million years would I have thought that I'm writing a book, and here I'm a published author. So we'll have that one done, and the others, they're all outlined and they're ready to go. I just have to fill in the blanks, and we'll be set. But so I'm very excited, and it all ties into the Blond Jesus album, and even with cbtcandle.com, I've got a new Blond Jesus candle line coming. I've got an essential oil cologne for men and women coming. We've got some clothing things that are coming. So there's a bunch of we've got the whole empire is building.
Look out! I love that. I love empire building. That's so much fun.
It is. It's totally fun. I think, I spent so much of my life, and I'm very grateful for where I've come from. So I always say that first and foremost. I'm very grateful. I've made a very good living for many, many years, but it's been very clear to me the last couple of years I need to be doing things that really fill my soul and fill my passion and make me happy in doing them. And so now I look for opportunities to do stuff that make me happy every day. And so if I'm not doing something that doesn't if it doesn't make me happy, I'm not going to do it, or I don't do it very long. And so I love the music, I love the radio show, I love the TV stuff, I love the everything that I'm working on. It's just every day is something new, something fun, and the best part is I get to meet fantastic people all the time, and I'm working with folks that creatively are just absolutely so dynamic. And I could go into some of the projects I'm currently working on musically, and you would freak out if I mentioned some of the names. You're like, how in a million years did this happen? And I said, I don't know. I just said, I want to work with so-and-so. And the next thing you know, I'm working with them. So, more news on those projects a little bit later at a future date, Scott.
I'm like that every day, I swear. Like I said, just a kid from Northeast Ohio here, and I'm talking to some of the greatest people that I've ever wanted to talk to, and that's what makes it the most fun for me. Is I'm more of a fan than anything else, and I get to talk to you and all these other great people, and it's just kind of a wonderful life, right?
How do you not like getting up in the morning and knowing that, for today, I'll turn the tables on you. When you're a guest on my show, Scott, and we chit-chat about life on Left of Str8, you're going like, I'm getting to talk to a good friend about something he's really excited about, and, listen to his enthusiasm about who he's interviewing and who he's talking to. And, you have such a great love of life, and I'm so grateful that we've connected. And I think that's one of the awesome things about social media is that, as much as we whine and complain about, people posting stupid stuff on the internet, one of the things that it's done is brought a lot of people together. Paul in the chat room, Tony in the chat room, you've all become friends of mine over the last few years for nothing short of, being a member of Facebook and saying, that person looks kind of cool. I'd like to get to know who that person is. And then, the next thing I know, Scott, we're BFFs.
Exactly. For every cat video out there, you have a good friend in the waiting.
Yeah. What I'd like to change the odds and stats on that. Let's say for every cat video, I get 10 cool people like you. That would make my heart a whole lot happier.
It would make me much happier myself, believe me. Now, let's talk for a second, too. The thing that's interesting to me now, because you have all this stuff going on, and I lived in Huntington Beach for 2 years. I love Huntington Beach. fantastic place to live. I was right off Beach and Adams Boulevard
Oh,
there.
yeah,
Had a
yeah,
great
yeah.
condo. Loved my life in Huntington Beach.
Huntington Beach
But
rocks.
I also visited there in October, and you couldn't pay me to drive to LA as many days as it seems like you're driving to LA. Do you ever think about maybe moving up this beach a bit to Manhattan or the Strand or out that way?
I think it's not if, it's when I move up here, it needs to be the right move at the right time. Now, currently, I've got 5 dogs, and so the living situation that I have right now is absolutely perfect for my life today, but it's more perfect really for my babies. So, they can go outside and play in the courtyard, which is huge. It's the size of a full-size lot, and you just don't have that anyplace. So they can go out and get their suntan. I've got a grass potty patch area for them with a nice little waterfall. I've got some fruit trees growing, and it's just absolutely nice. And my neighbors are wonderful, and everybody gets along. And you can live in a really nice place, but if you have crappy neighbors, the last thing you want to do is go home. And if you're sitting, you're sitting. I had a friend of mine on Saturday tell me, I have the neighbor across the complex who tells me you closed your window too loud after 10 o'clock at night. I'm like,
Oh, no.
come on, you're closing your window. So that to me, I've had neighbors where they've been neighbors you really don't want to be next door to for a variety of reasons. And I would much rather currently to have a little bit of drive time in between the times I'm going from Huntington Beach to LA or Hollywood. And, I use it for vocal training. I listen to podcasts. I listen to Left of Str8. I get a lot of stuff done that I would not get done if I was just sitting across the street from the UBN radio network. And, you said, get over there at 3 o'clock. And okay, about 2:56, I'd head over. So,
Right.
So I'm grateful,
All right, well, let's finish up here. I can't believe this hour show kills me. I mean, just my 2-hour show, and I have all these great things, and I have great friends to talk about here. Let's finish up, of course, where we met through Rated G Radio. You're
Rated
on
G Radio
5 days a week.
5 days a week.
You're going to go 6 days a week with our beautiful
Starting
friend
this
Paul
week.
and
Yeah,
Mass
yeah.
starting in Saturday.
Yeah.
Let's give a quick talk about the radio.
Well, how quick can we do this? Let's see. About 4.5 years ago, I was desperately looking for anything that I could do that was creative that wasn't involving my day job. And so I needed something that I could come home and divorce myself from a phone, an email, an iPad, and do something completely different that just took my mind off of that. And within about 3 or 4 months, I had done a radio show with a friend of mine, and her manager says, you guys should be doing this on a regular basis. So we did the Garrett and Rebecca show for about 6 months. I spun her off on her own show, and then that really was the genesis of Rated G Radio. And so I just said, I want to have a show where I can talk to a variety of different guests and have them come on and talk about stuff. And so that's what I did. And, the first shows were really kind of rough, and, they were not smooth at all. But, here we are 4 years later, and I book shows about 6 months in advance. I'm talking to people that want to be on. I'm like, okay, I can get you on in July. What's your availability like? And we'll be doing that. But the show it runs for me. I love doing it. I get to make new friends every day. I have people from all over the world. I've had people on my Friday night dance party music show. I've had people from Austria, New Zealand, Australia, Israel, Germany, South Africa. Of course, tons of artists here in the States. They're all indie musicians. And, I love talking to anybody who does an indie project because, there are the big studios out there, the big record labels that are out there, and that's awesome because they really, they churn and burn and get those people to go out and buy, the Justin Biebers and Taylor Swifts. But for everybody else that's out there, there's some great music and there's some great books and there's some great movies that are out there that I would like to learn about. And sometimes the best way for me to learn about them is say, hey, can you be a guest on my show? And I want to talk to you. And we do that. And sometimes the guests are like, I don't know if I can talk for an hour. And I'll be like, well, guess what? We're going to pretend like we're having lunch or we're having a sip of water or something like that. And we're just going to sit and chit-chat. And so we chit-chat for an hour. And, hopefully at the end of the time, we, move some merchandise. We sell some books. We sell some CDs. We sell some movies and raise awareness. And, it's fun. You do it all the time too now.
Yeah, exactly. But it is so much fun, and you could definitely do it for the hour. But now you got these 2 new shows. You've been doing the same thing pretty much. You've been changing it up obviously for the last 4 years, but you've got these 2 new additions. You've started LGBT radio on Thursdays, and this Saturday for a good couple of at least 10 to 12 weeks in a row, you're going to be doing a Great Big Gay Saturday. Talk about those two shows.
Well, last year, Monday through Thursday has always been my talk radio, and Friday is the music show. It's all been great, and it's very, very formulaic. It works. I love it. And then I started to have guests that were on that were really wanting to cover LGBT topics, and I was like, I don't really have an LGBT night. It's not an LGBT show. But I thought, what if I had a co-host, or what if we did a weekly or month? We started out doing a monthly segment. So I had a Transgender Tuesday night, and then I had Super Gay Radio Night with Rob Watson, and we did these once-a-month events. And towards the end of the year, I started talking to Rob, and I said, Rob, we're getting crazy numbers on this. Do you like me enough to do this on a regular basis? And he's like, I was hoping you would ask. So I said, could we do, a regular show, let's say every Thursday? Yes. I said, let's just not call it Super Gay Radio. And he goes, good. And I said, what are we going to call it? And he says, well, we got rated G radio. What about rated LGBT radio? And I said, perfect. And so that's how the genesis of that came. And so every Thursday, starting in 2016, Rob and I have either, we started out thinking, we were just going to sit here and talk about LGBT issues all night long. But we've been very fortunate to be double booked with guests every single Thursday. So we've got a first half of the show segment and a second half of the show segment. This week we've got Greg Archer from a new web series called The You and the Me. And then we've got Mel England, and he's with a new indie movie called Ron and Laura Take America. So we're going to have, that's this week. And then with the demise of our beloved OutQ on Sirius XM, I had conversations with a lot of people, and one of the people that I love in life, Mr. Paul Emery, he goes by the screen name Paul in Mass, and I said, Paul, this is just really chaps my hiney. And he says, it chaps mine too. And I said, what are we going to do about it? I don't know. And so we thought, why don't we do like a special or two about what OutQ meant to us, and, things that we wanted to, just talk about because of the demise of that particular opportunity. So Paul graciously came on, did a show. We even had a couple of people from the network call in, which is totally fun. And I said, Paul, this is kind of funny. He said, I had a great time. The hour flew by. I said, great. What are we going to do? He says, let's do it again. I said, how often do you want to do it? So we agreed that we would do it as a trial run. You know how they do, all the shows. Now for unlimited engagement, that means if it flops, we don't bring it back. But so now for a limited engagement on Saturday mornings at 8 a.m., we're doing Super Gay Radio. And I've got a new jingle and the whole thing, but it stars Paul in Mass. So we'll have Paul and I talking, and he's got a whole host of crazy adult-themed guests that are going to come on. It is not a children's show, so if you're, expecting to hear, about, cartoons and oatmeal at 8 o'clock in the morning, this is not the show for you. But that's what we're going to do. So we're going to try it out and see what happens.
That is fantastic. We're already gone over 2 minutes, but I think
sorry.
Tony will let me get away with it. As long as you sign an autographed Blond Jesus CD, I think we'll get away with this going a couple minutes over here. But let everyone know real quick what your social media and how to find you, and the LGBT radio and Rated G radio call letters and everything.
Make it real easy. Just go to GarrettMiller.com. You can click on any of the stuff there, and it will take you everywhere, and you can buy my music, listen to the show, all the good stuff. Thank you very much, Scott.
Hey, I appreciate you coming and being not only my very first live guest in studio, but I will not be able to do this again for 4 more years. We're on leap years. You have leap year owned now.
There we go. Signature.
Hey, will you stay there with Jarvis a little bit? And thank you so much. I appreciate everything you've done, and thanks for coming in. We'll be talking soon, as we do just about every day. Jarvis, if you want to go ahead and put up those slides, we got a couple of great shows coming next Monday right here on UBN Radio. I am so happy to have both Craig Ramsey and his husband Brandon Liberati on. If you don't know them, they're featured right now in the Bravo series Newlyweds, the first year, that's detailing their first year of marriage together. Craig Ramsey is a fantastic fitness trainer in his own right. He's been on a lot of different Bravo shows, his own fitness. He's getting ready to announce a new, or get ready to promote a new fun fitness craze with Pandora box called Fitness is a Drag that's coming up very soon. His husband, Brandon Liberati, is a hairdresser to the stars, fantastic person on fashion. They're both going to be here next Monday, so be sure to listen in on that. And tomorrow, I'm going to be able to hear all about all the fun that happened with Garrett tonight over at the Child of the 70s party, when my special guests are Terry Ray, who has his own web series, My Sister Is So Gay, with the fantastic Lonnie Anderson that I just love. And I'm so excited tomorrow to have back to the show Tony Tripoli. Tony is a fantastic comedian in his own right, but he's also one of the associate producers and head writer for Fashion Police. And he's been up about the last 36 hours straight, going through all the red carpets and writing all the jokes for tonight's episode of Fashion Police on E! Entertainment Network with the lovely Margaret Cho, who's a good friend of the show, and Melissa Rivers and Brad Goreski and all of them. He will be on the show tomorrow to tell us about all the jokes that didn't make it into Fashion Police tonight. So it should be a fun time had by all. It's been another great time here on Left of Straight Radio. Jarvis, you've been fantastic as always. You're getting so good on those graphics, man. You're just popping them up left, right, and center.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
You are my hero, my friend. Thanks again to our fantastic guest, Garrett Miller. Check him out at garrettmiller.com. Thank you to our chat room. We have Paula Mass, Tony Guadagnino, so many others for listening in. This is Scott Fullerton on Left of Straight Radio. We'll be here next week at 3 o'clock Pacific time.
Now that you've found UBN Radio and discovered our quality talk shows, it's time to spread the word to friends, family, and the universe. 24 hours of music and talk. Radio without limits. That's why people keep coming back for more. That's UBNradio.com.